What's happening, family? Just a quick video. I had the time to had a peek on EURUSD, and this is basically what I am seeing. As we can see, the 50-minute time frame shows us that we were, pretty bullish, right? So looking at the 50-minute time frame, then I would say, okay, if we would continue the bullish momentum, right? And I have basically two scenarios, one for buy, one for sell, and I will show you guys basically what I'm seeing. So we can immediately identify this as our higher time frame internal liquidity, right? As in inducement. Don't mistake this one here because we had no closure above it, right? So basically that's a single move, pullback, and another single impulsive move or leg to the upside, right? So on the 50-minute time frame, then we have here our liquidity, right? So price can either come down, take out that liquidity, and then continue higher. Now, if that's the case, let me go, by the way, to the lower time frame. Now, this is the lower time frame perspective of that 50-minute time frame view, right? Now, on the lower time frame, I can say, okay, we had here our internal liquidity, at which is price very close, and from the lower time frame perspective we can say this is our major inducement, right? Now also sitting above that major inducement we have our internal area of interest in conjunction with this internal liquidity, right? Basically it's the entire order flow. So should the price at some point liquidate something here and do not reach this area of interest, but rather gives us a internal shock, something like that, right? Let me mark it up real quick. Yeah, right. We don't have to wait for liquidity to be taken out because we have here already structure-wise liquidity taken out, right? So as soon as price closes above that, well, internal bearish pullback, it could count as a internal shock. And when it comes back to create efficiency in this year order flow, right, we could look for potential buys and target basically the current daily high, which is also the London high, right? And obviously if this does not happen, then we should obviously wait until basically this entire configuration basically happens at this point, perhaps something like that, right? So liquidity taken out, internal on the lower time frame, price does not give us a proper buy setup and rather decides to come and creates efficiency at this lower time frame order flow and then gives us a proper buy setup, right? Obviously if none of those happen, we should be patient and wait until our major inducement is taken out, and perhaps we could then look for a similar proper buy setup like that, or we could go just with one of our entry type models, right? So that's basically scenario one. Well, actually these are three scenarios, but this is the buy scenario, let me call it that way, right? Another scenario could be a sell position, right? So let me go back real quick here like that. Now if we then go back to the higher time frame, we can already see that we had efficiency here at the top, right? Like that, right? So the plan behind this sell setup is sell into either that lower time frame order flow here, right? And then perhaps looks for buys if obviously the price does not, first go down, right? To take out either that internal liquidity here and create efficiency here, which will be a structure-wise entry type model 1, or it will go for that major inducement, right? So yeah, if we then go back here, we can see on the 50-minute time frame, this here is already efficient, right? And why do I mention that, right? Because if we go back and look, what price had done today, it already created efficiency here at the bottom, like that. Oh, yeah, something like that, right? So it created efficiency then, and then continued higher, pullback, continuation to the upside, obviously. Now, if we then look at these sessions, right? This here is the Asian session. It basically had topped out here. So this was Asian high, and this here was basically that Asian low, right? So what did London do when it opened here at 9 a.m., right? It basically took out Asian high. It immediately went higher, closed above the Asian high, right? So at that point, we could perhaps expect that continuation during New York session, right? That's why, looking for buy positions could be good, right? As I pointed out in scenario 1, but the proper setup has to be, presented, right? If price does not target this year internal liquidity and or this year order flow, perhaps even that major inducement here during London, and perhaps then if New York opens, it will continue, right? That's what I mean by scenario 1, basically. So until this year or this year liquidity, order flow or this major inducement here I showed you guys earlier, we could look for sales, right? So on the lower time frame, then we can say we have now technically a internal shock, which got confirmed here, right? Like that. As we can see, we had a candle close below it eventually. And this could be that, where is it? Here. Oh. Like that, right? So let me move this one a little bit to the left and give this another color, let's say blue, right? So if price now then comes into this area and respects that area, we first do need liquidity to be created, taken out, and then, we could look for a sell, right? Either until this point, if this happens first, obviously, right? Because this is our internal liquidity. This could be your conservative target, I guess, if a sell setup like this is probably given, right? Because I mentioned this like that. This is my internal liquidity taken out. So as soon as we have a internal shock here, right, we don't have to wait for price again to take out liquidity, right? We basically can utilize this entire area like that to keep an eye on. If price comes back and creates efficiency here, right, then we could basically look for a single candle mitigation, right? So the configuration or, candle formations of that single candle mitigation setup, right? So, and if that happens, we could either sell until here again, right, for a conservative target, or if you are a little bit aggressive, you could target the top side of that, bearish order flow, right, around this here price area. Or if you are very aggressive, you can even target that major inducement on a higher time frame, right? So these are basically a few ideas, and let's see what price action will present us if it will present us with a proper setup either for buys and sell. But these are the two scenarios that I will keep an eye on. And yeah, like, trade responsible and trust your system. One love.